down to it and shoot for the sky.
No, you're good.
Okay.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Ring Post Daily Podcast. You're listening to myself, the RPD ring general, Jesse Henrik, Eddie Wade, the future champ, Joey Hudson, the honorary Oos, and Mr. RPD champion himself, prophecy champion, I should say, Tyreek Ramsey, as well as our very special guest today, Dirty Devin Diaz, the rookie sensation of the Florida independent scene. How are you doing today, sir?
The Dirty Man's doing all right today. I was looking forward to this all day. I made sure to clear my schedule. I'm a busy man. The Dirty Man.
Hell yeah.
He's a dirty man and a busy man.
Absolutely.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm the dirtiest man in professional wrestling, Dirty Devin Diaz. I mean, what is it that you like to know? Let's get into specifics. What would you like to know?
Tell us, who you are, how'd you get into the business, what is your, place within this business?
So I'll just start with my background. I was a high school wrestler and also high school football player, so that's my athletic background. Then from there, I never wanted to be a professional wrestler growing up. It was never something that I thought about or even thought it was a possibility, truth be told. I was a fan for a little bit. I was a fan as a kid, but I stopped watching rather quickly, probably around like 11 years old. But I had a teammate in college when I was wrestling in college that now wrestles on the Florida Independents. And I remember going into practice one day, and he was watching Ric Flair promos. And I thought, man, I could do that. It was something about the way Flair was talking. I was like, I could do that. I could grab people's attention like that. And given I'm no Flair, not yet, but it just something about that drew me to it. I wasn't doing too good in college wrestling. I had burned out, quite frankly. And so I decided to give the whole pro wrestling thing a shot. And it was a hard journey to even get up there and go to the school and be able to pay tuition to Jay Lethal. But I made it happen, and here I am now, as we would say, a rookie sensation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And, you mentioned a couple guys there, so I'm just going to get into this. Besides, of course, yourself, who is on Dirty Devin Diaz, the wrestlers, pro wrestling Mount Rushmore? And specifically,
So first and foremost,
do you have a dirty Mount Rushmore, or do you have just a normal? Like, who are the dirtiest players
I
in the
would
game?
say that I have two. So if we're talking pro wrestling, to me, the only thing that matters is putting butts in seats, right? That's the only thing that matters, whether you like it or not. And so when it comes to that, I think Flair, I think The Rock, I think Austin, and I think John Cena.
Okay.
Who hasn't paid attention to see those guys,
Yeah, that's definitely the butts and seats Mount Rushmore. I would argue maybe you could throw Hogan in there somewhere.
I don't think there's any better names.
Just for his longevity.
See, me and Hulk Hogan went to the same high school, and I think that I'm the best professional wrestler that went to that high school, so I don't ever mention it.
Oh, yeah, that makes
There
sense.
we go.
He's from that area too, right?
Yes, he is. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely have a better set of hair than he did, so.
Oh,
Yes.
There we go.
All right. So then, who's on?
I'm interested to hear though.
I was going to say, who's on the dirty Mount Rushmore then?
So if we're talking like a dirty Mount Rushmore, we're talking about who I watch hours upon hours of is probably first and foremost the Playboy Buddy Rose. He was a heel in the Portland territories, and he was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated talents our business has probably ever seen. I mean, the guy is tremendous. Psychology from work, the way he can move around the ring. I study a lot of Harley Race,
Okay.
Mr. Perfect, and then, I mean, I don't know. It's probably tied between Rude and Flair, like, if we're being honest. I consider myself to be like a trailer park Ric Flair,
I was about to say I see a lot of Rick Rude in kind
I
of
like it.
the limited amount that I've been able to see of you. I see a lot of that. Maybe if you kind of like work the female part of the crowd a little bit more, I could definitely see that.
Oh, I get the chick pop always, bro.
Yeah,
I always get,
Gotta have the chick
it's
pop.
got to
Gotta
be
have
the
the chick
hair.
pop.
dude. It's got to be the hair, and it's got to be the fact when I walk out. I usually tan before the show. The tan's dripping off me as I walk out. I think they go crazy for that.
That's terrible. I gotta ask, just to kind of finish this up, who's the dirtier player in the game? Is it Devin Diaz or is it Dominic Mysterio?
Oh man, that's I'm gonna say me. I was running that gimmick much prior to when he was.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna take a shot and say that anyone stole my gimmick because we're not even close to the same cat. Like he portrays something completely different than I portray. But I have to like tip my hat, man. I was in Tampa when Raw had came into town and he couldn't get a word out. Like I have to tip my hat. But I'm gonna say myself because part of this business is betting on yourself, and all my chips are in, bro.
yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned that
Sounds like it.
you were in Tampa for that Raw, and of course me and Ty we ran across you at a charity event down there when we were there for the Royal Rumble. So it was really interesting to kind of see you there, and just see the community kind of coming together for the Royal Rumble. I call it the aura. There's so much excitement in the air. We went around, we talked to everybody. There was this big tailgate going on. It's really, really interesting, and I couldn't be happier with the people of St. Petersburg because they were lovely to us, and so were you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I literally bought a Bluetooth mic you hook into your phone, and then you talk, and then you hold it near their mouths. I literally bought that so the next time we get together and get to go to a pay per view or something, we can do that again, and I have the proper material.
Absolutely. So
We're
I
talking
guess
like on the
There we
spot
go.
interviews.
yeah, no, we were
Yeah,
just walking up to people on the sidewalk, man.
It's fans. Yeah, fans who are
Yeah,
going
it
to the
was
show,
interesting,
pretty
and
much.
we even
should have got
got
some
to
business cards made up.
We even got to meet Becky Lynch just a little ways behind where that tailgate happened. She was at a little coffee shop on the street behind there. Me and Ty got to meet her before all that happened. So it was, yeah,
Seth
Seth
Rollins as
Rollins was
well.
there as
Yeah, he was
well.
there
He
as
he was
well.
with his kid though, so we didn't really get to interact with him. But still, I mean,
Yeah,
it was so
that would have been
surreal
really hard.
just to see all the fans all together in the same area, see all the wrestlers, and of course you have awesome, Tampa Bay Rays Stadium there. It's just gorgeous. Um, but moving on,
So what that did for us here on the local scene is our houses went up tremendously. It like
oh yeah,
kickstarted like this wrestling, like I don't know how to explain it. It just kickstarted a lot of people who remember professional wrestling from when they were kids. Obviously, when you think Tampa and you think Florida, you think wrestling. I mean, there's no other way around it.
I gotta
And
imagine
Hmm.
you guys must have had a lot going on during the pandemic too, because that's obviously where WWE was based out of was the Tropicana Field for their Thunderdome, and I mean you had them living there for almost a year, or over a year, I think it was. So that must have really like boosted the
Hmm.
interest in the independent scene there, right?
I mean, Florida right now, every state's going to say, oh, every state's going to give you their positive and then they're going to give you your negative. But when I say when it comes to like what I consider professional wrestling, because we all have our different opinions, what I consider professional wrestling is that we got some of the best. I mean, we have some of the best gimmicks. We have some of the most entertaining guys. I mean, given I'm the best, I'm the best in the state, but I will admit that there's guys who are, I don't want to say a close second, but they're trying their hardest. And I tip my
Absolutely.
hat as well.
All right.
So since your name is Dirty Devin Diaz, are you ever gonna like go by Triple D like Triple H did?
Oh, I've been Triple D. I've been the Dirty Man.
Triple D knows.
I've had probably. I mean, sometimes I have. There's some guys who run promotion here, and they have a great commentary team, and I love it whenever I'm watching my matches back and there's just like 15 monikers. So it's like I haven't even hit the ring yet. Like, Dirty Devin
That's
Diaz, the Dirty Man, Triple D, the dirtiest player in the game. Although I never said that because I didn't want to take that from Flair. So I never said I was the dirtiest player in the game. I claim to be the dirtiest man in professional wrestling.
That's awesome.
there you go.
All right, so Ty, you're first.
You're smoking cigs indoors, bro?
Yeah, Joey likes cancer.
That's my kind.
Yeah.
That's my kind of guy right there. In all my promos, I'm smoking cigarettes. That's my kind of guy right there.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I think I've seen you walk to the ring with cigarettes, just blowing
That's
it out.
Don't do it at home, kids.
So, Devin,
Oh yeah, please.
yeah. Devin, who would you say is the biggest name you've had a match with? Like, who's the one you've stood across from that really puts the ass in seats, or maybe even you consider to be a bigger name?
So obviously, it would have to be the Vampire Warrior Gangrel.
Yes.
I had the courtesy to share the
There we
ring
go.
with that gentleman, and it was probably
That was just recently, right?
such a learning experience. Yes, it was. It was a month ago, and it was for a nice company that runs down here, a great company, Coastal Championship Wrestling, CCW. They bring in people all the time. QT Marshall's running with us right now, and I think they just booked Brian Cage on the show as well. So, I mean, it's one of the hottest independents, and for them to trust somebody who, I mean, I'm less than 3 years in the business, right? So they put me in the ring with Gangrel. That means that they believe what you guys believe, that I am a future superstar.
Oh,
So that means
absolutely.
that anything and everything to me. And the fact that I was able to do that,
Oh yeah, he's a veteran.
it meant everything, man. It was awesome. And
That is awesome.
Well-
Did you have any sort of interactions with him outside of the match? Did he, come back and congratulate you or anything?
I'm not gonna pull back the curtain that much, but
No.
I didn't.
Okay.
I did not get yelled at. So I can tell you
That's good. That's the important
was-
part. All right.
Goes to show how big pro wrestling is in Florida. If you get matches like that just on the
yeah.
independents, because not a lot of people get to work with big names.
I mean,
like
all
that.
the good schools are here. I've been trained by. You want to talk about names that I've shared the ring with? I've had very important names, put their hand on me and guide me as I was coming up and as I still continue to come up. I've been trained by both members of the Ascension.
Yeah, I was
So,
about to say
I've
we
spent
talk
time
about
with-
Jay Lethal because he's kind of the most recognizable. When you go about like tenure and such, but also you've been trained by Khan and by Victor. Who else?
That's crazy. I remember
So-
playing as them on like 2K17.
if we're going by all the names, I'll take you guys through all the people who have had a hand on me.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, I would have to say that the Wrestling Lab was the first school I went to. That school was compiled of a gentleman that goes by the name of David Mercury, who's a tried and true veteran in the squared circle all around Florida. Everybody knows his name, and he also went and traveled in Puerto Rico. He taught me a lot of what I know, and he trained me, in my opinion, what's the correct way. There's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it, and he trained me how to do it. And then there was also Connor and Jay Lethal, and Jay Lethal and Connor, my apologies, they were so great in guiding me as well, and they helped me break out of a shell I had because I had came from the shoot background, so it wasn't necessarily when you're wrestling in the shoot background, you're supposed to kind of hold back your emotions because you're competing to win. And although professional wrestling, we compete to win, we also have to put on a show. And so they had to, tell me break out that shell and do your best. But it only took them telling me one time, and then I started shaking my hair and doing all this and doing all the crazy stuff that
Bringing
the
out the
Dirty Man does.
flamboyance.
But I have to think, yeah, I've been called that. Hillman, that's a new one. Pillman's a new one. I get a lot of like Barry Windham. I get a lot of all the Southern guys you can think of. All the guys who passed through the territories who had mullets and would run to the ring and shake their hair and do. Personally, my favorite one I ever got was Michael P.S. Hayes because I'm a huge, huge fan of the Freebirds. I just love watching the Freebirds work. I mean, there's we talk about trios, talk about Freebirds rules.
Yeah,
that
and I mean,
stuff is
even
awesome to me.
even looking like, taking a look at your actual presentation, your look, you look like you belong in that, like 70s, 80s NWA era. So I mean, I could definitely see it.
And that to me is probably like one of the best things I've ever heard because that's awesome. When it comes to studying, I mainly study old school wrestling because to me that was when it was most entertaining. And I'm not saying the gentlemen and ladies on TV are not entertaining now. I'm saying what makes me want to watch wrestling and go out of my way to watch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Joey. It's going to be good when he starts laughing.
Mom and dad were not happy. When I decided to tell mom and dad, "Hey, I'm going to drop out of college and be a professional wrestler," it was like their eyes got this big. Like they could not believe it.
Did they pay for college?
No, I was thankfully I was awarded like a college wrestling scholarship, so
Okay.
no money out of their pocket.
Yeah, because it's different when you say you're dropping out and it's on their dime.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like,
That'd be
I can't just apply and do it. Come on now.
right. I'd go to I'd go to what was
I
that?
was just That's very true. I mean, like I said, I didn't grow up wanting to be a professional wrestler. I I did grow up watching it. I'm not somebody who's gonna lie and say I was never a fan. I went to SummerSlam with my dad when Taker put Edge through the canvas,
Oh wow.
so I was definitely a fan.
Mm.
I just
You know,
I always thought more the
it's
UFC would be my route. I really did. Uh, given
okay.
you have to be a splendid athlete, tremendous athlete to do that. Um,
I was gonna say, like through high school, you were always an athlete, right? So you kind of knew that maybe that was the course. You just didn't see maybe pro wrestling
I wish I could tell you.
as
I
that.
wish I could tell you, leaving high school, that I had a course. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had All I know is that I went to football practice, I went to wrestling practice, and I went to my job. I went to football practice, I went to wrestling practice, I went to my job. Notice how I didn't say school very often. I wasn't somebody. I was not a very studious kid.
Well, even though your parents might have been like, not so crazy on you becoming a wrestler, did you have any siblings or any friends or family that was like, dude, that's cool as hell? Like,
Yeah, I have a cousin that I'm very close to that pushed me into it and said, if you want to do it, but just make sure you do it with everything you have. Don't come to me 5 years, 10 years down the road and say, if I would have done this and I would have done that. He said, just do it now, which I
That
really
makes
appreciate
sense.
him for. And it wasn't the fact that mom and dad weren't. It wasn't the fact that mom and dad weren't supportive. Once they saw that I had, because I had came down from 260 pounds to 210 pounds, and once they saw that I was losing the weight and I was keeping them up at night yelling in the mirror because I was trying to figure out how to cut a promo before I went to school. And
They saw the
once they saw
dedication.
that, they were, yeah, and they definitely have admitted, and I wish that I could get one of them in the room right now. They had admitted that they were like, bro,
Always good
we
to
did
prove
not
them
think you were going
wrong.
to be good.
Isn't
There was,
has
that how everybody's
has your
parents are
mom?
though? Is they assume that you're shit at everything you
They
do?
either think you're the best or the
Because
worst.
that's how I was.
Well, I mean, but sometimes sometimes vengefulness is a great motivator. It's like, oh, you don't think I can do it? I'm gonna prove you wrong, and I'm gonna actually do it and
There
be
you
good
I
at
think
it.
I'm just a unique cat because even them saying that, I just didn't care. Like I just thought, oh, I'll do it. Like
Has any has your mom or dad have they ever attended any of your wrestling matches?
oh, they're the biggest Dirty Man fans now ever.
That's awesome.
Hell
When they see
yeah!
There we
their
go.
son strut, and I got the cigarette going, and I'm strutting, and the crowd's booing me and stuff, they're the only ones chanting "Dirty, Dirty." I just had a match in Tampa right now, and the Dirty Man fans were like 5 people, and then there was this guy I wrestled. He's a really talented individual. We wrestled in Tampa, and we were outnumbered probably like 300-5, but they were just as loud as those guys. It was I don't know. It was super cool. It was one of my favorite moments to do it in Tampa. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
That's awesome.
Well, Eddie here, he's a wrestler, and I'm his manager. And I swear, for the longest time, like when I went there as a manager, I could not like find it in me to be an a-hole and be that mean person that I'm not. And then eventually, I just went out there and got in people's faces, uh, called them every name I could without getting in trouble, and eventually they were like, "Now that's what we're talking about. Like that's how you get into it." I got called every name in the book too. Teletubby, Slim Shady, Wannabe. I was like, I went out there. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, God dang, calm down. This is just a show.
I've gotten some things where I'm just like, I can't believe they said that to me. Like that's ridiculous.
You know,
But
The Teletubby thing, I was like, oh.
speaking of
you're
Mr.
kind
Eddie
of cutting
Wade,
out. I'm interested in what you're saying. You're just cutting out a little bit.
yeah, no, it's
I said that Teletubby comment. I was like, oh.
Oh, okay.
speaking of Mr. Eddie Wade, he's been
So,
quiet so far. So
you said you
what's
were
your first
trained
question,
by Jay
Jesse?
Lethal, and Jay Lethal is one of the guys that I started watching to actually get back into wrestling. So I was wondering what it was like being trained by the longtime veteran who's done just about everything, Jay Lethal.
In my opinion, there's nobody better to break you into this business. The way he breaks it down and the way he teaches you how to do things, there's nobody better. He's so detail oriented, and obviously, in my opinion, he's one of the best working right now. So it was just I couldn't have picked a better place to
It's
break
kind
in. Jay was great, phenomenal, good coach.
of,
And he's so good at
I
everything
hear Lance Storm's good
because I
too.
mean he's got promo, he's got the work rate, he's got the characters galore. I mean, you need anything in the business.
His
Yeah,
in
yeah.
ring,
He
yeah.
will either tell you how to do it, or he'll. I'm sure he probably just showed you, didn't he? I can
Jay
imagine
would
doing a
tell
promo
you,
class
show
with him.
you. My first promo, I was scared. I was scared, and he made me go first, and I was stuttering, and like my palms were all sweaty. But I just remember from that day on, and the advice he gave me, it just made sense. I remember he said, "Why are you like?" The conversation kind of echoes. I'm paraphrasing, but it kind of echoes something like this, where he was like, "You can't be scared to talk. Are you scared to talk when you go to McDonald's, or are you scared to talk when you go to the gas station?"
I worked
And I
there.
was like,
I work at McDonald's.
what was that?"
Said I work at McDonald's.
I've worked at McDonald's too, man. But he was just saying that you can't be scared to talk, and then it kind of just like blew my mind because promos really is just talking. And I know that it's like people are gonna. I come from a school of thought that if you make anything more complicated than what it is, then you'll never succeed in it. So when it's time for me to go out there and wrestle, I think I have to go out there and wrestle. When it's time for me to cut a promo, I think I have to go out there and promo. I don't think about the intricacies and
Yeah.
stuff. I kind of just let them take care of themselves. I hope that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense.
It does, because that
But I want,
because that's how sometimes people can overthink
yeah, when you overthink and
a
you're
little too
thinking when you're
much.
performing, then you guys are fans. You guys know when a guy's thinking. It takes you out of it. And I'm not saying that you want to yell and
Hmm.
curse and say, some of the things I've seen people say, but I'm sure when you guys are watching somebody perform and you could tell that their heart's not invested, they have not embodied the persona that they claim to be,
Oh,
then you're
absolutely.
not sold yourself. That's what you
and and then there's the reverse of that
and
where
that
you can tell like promos don't always have to be like super intricate or long or anything. If you look at like say AEW Dynamite or not Dynamite but Collision, I believe it was. Will Ospreay went out there and he put over the Bryan Danielson match this last week here, and he basically, the gist of it was, we two are living in this aura of AEW or this scene, and facing you is life or death, and I don't plan on dying. It was the gist of what he said. But he said it with so much passion and so much heart that you believe everything he says. And that's what's really important, as you said. It's about making people believe you believe what you're saying.
yeah.
Well, that's also like if you look at someone like Austin Michaels from TSW, he can go out there and scream all night long, but he can also go out there for about 5 seconds, make it sweet, short, and simple to the point, and still leave them hating him just as much as they would have if he put on a 5 minute promo. So Austin Michaels is like one of the people to, if you wanted to look up like how to get people to hate you,
Uh,
he'd be a good guy to look at.
I can tell you that although I appreciate you, I have no problem getting people to hate me, man. I mean, how could you not hate me?
Not you. I was just saying anyone in general watching. Like no, I don't.
You
I
want
don't
to
have
learn
any
how to
doubt
make
that you
people
don't
go
have.
hate you, you got to watch one of my matches and watch my promos. That's what it is.
yeah, I
It's
definitely
very
I definitely got to see more of your work after this. Just because you are a very like traditional heel character, and that's a rare commodity in professional wrestling today. Because nowadays we're in a world where heels are cool. Heels are cool to boo and such. Like you think of
Yeah.
Judgment Day, for instance, in WWE. They're one of the coolest factions they have running right now, and Dominic specifically is like he's fun to boo, but with you, it's a whole other type of heat because people are booing you because they can't stand you. And it's really interesting to watch.
So when I'm performing as the heel character, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. We talked about my coaches, right? We covered both members of the Ascension, and we covered David Mercury, and we covered Jay
Yeah.
Lethal. There's
Yes.
also a gentleman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with NWA. I don't know how much you watch the product, but I was also
Here
trained
and there.
by Chris Silvio Esquire. I was trained by Chris Silvio Esquire, and he was a guy who ran up and down the roads on the independents, and he was a guy who made a name for himself. And he told me something that made a lot of sense. He only had to tell me one time. I'm very coachable. He only got to tell me something one time. He told me to have no redeemable qualities, and so it's very easy when you're told that don't have any redeemable qualities. So I go out there and I think, what can I do to make everybody dislike me? Be loud, be obnoxious, be self-absorbed, blow smoke in their face, take your jacket off real slow, shake your hair, because I just can't. It's the even when I watch my own stuff back, I'm like, I hate this guy. Like, oh God, I can't stand him.
That's awesome.
And even now, as we
Just having a
go ahead,
just having a hair head like that, you can go out there to your bald fans or your bald opponents and already have something, to go at.
this hair is.
You're bald. Look at
Let's
this
take a
shit.
minute. This hair is such a blessing from God. I mean, just take a look at that. Take a look at that.
Man.
But so that was something that he taught me. Also, Victor, he taught me so much on how to really like get heat. You know, there's guys who they ask you to boo them. He taught me how to make people boo you. You see how my eyebrows even drop when I say it?
Yeah.
Like you make them boo you. I get excited when we talk about it.
No, it's awesome
It's
because
it's crazy, and I've sat under such a learning tree. I've been so blessed.
I mean, like I said, it's such a rare commodity in these, in this world of professional wrestling. It's really cool to hear about the process, with getting people to boo you and how you go about it. Even the blowing smoke in people's face. Like, I hear you say that, but I can't imagine that because it's just a matter of like, how can you go out and do that? You can't do that to somebody,
Hold on,
in this day and age.
give me a second.
But Dirty does it.
There we go.
It's 2024. People don't come out with cigarettes and cigars no more. They come out with vapes.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll come out with cigarettes. I'll come out with cigarettes. I'll come out with a vape. I'll come out with dip. I just, I am who I am, brother. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it.
Have you ever dumped a drink on
That's the best
somebody,
way
MJF style?
I have not because I don't feel like I need to do that. I've gotten drinks dumped on me. So what's that say about me?
Arguably, that's better.
Yeah, that says a little bit more.
It reminds me of the whole Chris Jericho thing when he had people throwing garbage at him in Mexico, I think it was. And Joey. But anyways, yeah, he had like
Hold on,
the
drop
whole
my phone.
arena was throwing garbage at him, and people at WWE got mad at him for it. It's like, dude, this is the greatest heat I could ever get.
Yeah, it's like the best. What a messed up business. It's like the best thing ever. It's like, thank you for throwing your trash at me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, because these
it.
fans
Hey,
doing it.
I wonder.
I was just gonna say that.
Hold on now.
They're doing it out of
I
passion.
wonder if
really
are you willing to defend that belt? I'm sorry to cut you off, Jesse.
Is Ty able to defend it?
I'm willing. Are you willing to come and
Anywhere.
No,
I'll tell you like I tell every
mouth
opponent. I'll tell you like I tell every opponent. It's very simple. You will feel the dirty sensation. It's that simple. If you're gonna wear a belt, you better be ready.
So the way that our titles work
always
is we defend them with with pay-per-views, so fantasy booking them. For instance, Ty here won that belt at Royal Rumble because we do the fantasy bookings. Who do we think's going to win, and that such. In fact, if we can do a little bit of
with the point system.
I'll tell you how I'll win that belt. I'll walk up to Ty and take it off of him. What's Ty gonna do to me? I'll grab that belt.
I would love to see Dirty try because I'm a true champion, 3-time champion, about to be the longest reigning.
I've heard it all. My favorite guy right now is this Joey Hudson guy because he's like cigarettes are a big part of my promos. He's smoking indoors. It does not get any better than that.
Joey Hudson.
This
is the owner.
I want this guy to be my tag partner.
Joey Hudson is the owner of the longest losing streak in RPD history. Since we began this podcast,
hey, pin me, pay me, brother.
Since we began this podcast in January of 2023. So that Royal Rumble, he has not won a match or a super card, which is multiple pay-per-views on the same bracket. So he's on a what is it now?
We can't all be
13,
stars.
What is it? 15-month losing streak now?
Because I'm here.
It's like a 13, 14-month old streak now. But look, Ty's got his rings and all this. You've got your rings and all that. I am the only one in this podcast with the longest losing streak ever, and I wear that proudly. At least I'm making history somehow. It's not how you make the name. It's just the fact that you do make the name.
I'll tell you. I'll share a tidbit that I was told when I first broke in. It was my first debut. I was on a fair show, and a veteran came up to me, and he told me, for some reason, what you just said reminded me of this. He came up to me and he told me, "Well, you did pretty good, kid, but I'm going to tell you something." So naturally, I listened. He said, "In this business, you're lucky if you get out with a dime and you're able to walk. So I wish you the best on your journey." And I was like, "Wow, man, I can't wait."
It's interesting you bring that up because we'll go into Ty's next question here, and maybe that'll shed a little bit more light on that.
So I almost had a brain fart, but so who is kind of Dirty Devin Diaz? Like, who does your character kind of stand for, and what does he believe? Maybe what's his motives? Like, in your own words, what would you say? Who is Dirty Devin Diaz?
Dirty Devin Diaz. It's a picture and capsule of my life. Is really what it is. the best way to put it is I grew up in the Midwest. I was a flea market kid. My dad used to sell stereo equipment in a flea market. So that there's nothing more dirtier than that.
Okay.
And the best way I can put this to you without cutting a promo and getting into it, because I have go-to promos, but if we're like really sitting down and talking about it, the best way I can put it to you is that I do everything for money. I don't care about anything other than a payday. So I fight in the wrestling ring for a payday. I'll screw whoever for a payday. The number one motive, and that should be very, very easy for people to latch on, is money.
Absolutely.
And I have no problem.
Hey, if the victory gets you more money, then yeah, go for it.
That's the whole point. That's why we go out there and do it, right?
Right.
See, the good guys, they have to follow the rules. They have to win it the right way. A cheater, a bad guy, a true heel does not have to worry about those, those petty rules. It's, dude, the first shot I get, I'm gonna take it. So, I
That
give the
guy would
heel.
do anything to win. Anything to win.
And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, as when you look at like no redeemable qualities, I'm willing to do in the wrestling ring. I'm willing to do anything and everything, and I don't care whose toes I step on, who I make uncomfortable, whether you're in a quote unquote faction with me or not. I'm always the guy that you have to look out for, because I make it very loud, very clear that I am out for myself and I am out to pay. I have a family who lives in a trailer park that I need to get out the trailer park. I mentioned it in every promo, so it's very cut and clear. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and cut a promo because I don't feel like this is like the time for it. I think that right now we're having like open dialogue.
I mean, it's
And I like it because even
interesting you say that, because the way I kind of envision what you just said is it's almost a mixture of almost like a Ric Flair promo, but mixed with like a Heath Slater promo. The whole "I've got kids."
I don't know what it is. I know it's the dirtiest man in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely your own hybrid, but I'm trying to connect the synapses in my brain to like, who does this guy remind me of? So it's really interesting.
Back to that list that we were talking about. A lot just came into like my mind. I've gotten Barry Windham. I got Jimmy Jack Funk one time. I get a lot of Rude. I get a lot of Scott Hall. I've had a strange DDP every once in a while. But I think my personal favorite was Tracy Smothers.
All right.
I don't know. Are you guys familiar with the name Rip Rogers?
It sounds familiar.
You guys are not familiar with the name Rip Rogers?
Don't really know that much.
Like, I don't know who it is personally or anything like that, but like the name, I feel like I have heard that come up before.
You have to school us.
So if you're a fan of any wrestling star that you saw prior to the era we see now, so if we're talking Ruthless Aggression stars, then we're talking Rip Rogers trained them down in OVW, Louisville, Kentucky OVW.
So he was one of the people who kind of trained that 2002 class or whatever it was with, like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Batista. That class is what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Taught them wrestling from the very bottom. And when he told me that I reminded him of Tracy, now I don't know Rip very well. I'm not going to sit here and name drop like I do. I did a seminar with him, and when he told me that I remind him of Tracy Smothers, that was probably like my best moment. I was like, no way, because I was such a Tracy Smothers mark when I started.
That's a name we get a lot.
Part of it.
Because we get a lot of Southern wrestlers, and we always hear people's Mount Rushmore, or somebody that they wanted to have a match with, like in their dream matches or whatever. Like, we always hear Tracy Smothers' name.
I mean, bro, go back and watch what he did, man.
Oh, absolutely.
He's phenomenal. I'm a fan of.
The only reason I know the name Tracy Smothers is because I had like an old WCW card, and it was him and his tag team partner, and he was like a blonde hair wrestler. And I was just little, and I was like, dude, that's Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit before they went to WWE. I know it is. And it wasn't. But as a kid, you couldn't tell me I was wrong. I was like, that looks just like a younger version of both of them.
That's hilarious.
And it was Tracy Smothers and his partner.
Are you guys familiar with the work of Jimmy Del Rey?
I can't say I am.
Give me one sec. It might be one of the names that sounds familiar.
You guys aren't familiar with so Jim Cornette managed him and managed Jimmy Del Rey and Dr. Tom. They were the Heavenly
Oh, I think
Okay.
I know who you're talking
and
about.
I get compared to Jimmy Del Rey a lot. But when it comes to comparisons, like Jesse, you said it best. I think people try to make the connections because what I'm doing right now and how I portray myself, and truthfully, like I said, it's a capsule of my life that I present to the fans. But I mean, obviously with added flair and added, what's the word I'm looking for? Theatrics. With what I'm saying to you right now, though, is that I think a lot of people are trying to figure out exactly who I am because they're so used to copycats. But I haven't copycat nobody. And anybody, like I'm writing a college paper, anybody I have stolen something from, I'll cite and source. I'm not going to lie to nobody. But when it comes to my persona and what I offer a crowd and what I offer a show, I can't say I've taken that from anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I could see that because you obviously just explained who Dirty is and what his motives are. How he only focus on money and he has his family to get out of the trailer park. So it does sound very much you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm always drinking. I'm always drinking in a promo or smoking a cigarette in a promo. I mean, just just who I am. I just offer it to the fans.
All right. Uh,
What's your go-to beer?
Yeah, I think
My go-to beer. Is that what he asked? I can't
yeah,
hear him
that's
that
what he
well.
asked.
Yeah,
So my
go-to
go-to beer
beer.
is the one I don't have to pay for.
in
Hell
my
yeah.
in my view, all beer is inferior to hard liquor. That's my stance on the subject.
If we're being honest, I'm a Jack Daniels guy fooling through. I mean, if I'm
There we
Dude,
go.
if
There
I'm
we
okay.
go.
drinking anything, I'm a Jack Daniels.
For a character,
Go ahead.
So do you be in the ring sometimes with a
for your
glass?
character,
I can't disclose that information.
Just what?
for your character, that makes sense that you would like Jack Daniels. But as a person, have some respect for yourself and at least get a bottle of Jameson. Just
James,
Jameson,
I like
Irish
vodka.
whiskey.
I'm a Jack Daniels guy fooling through, man.
I like vodka.
I I'm such a huge country music fan. A lot of like my look has been taken from like outlaw country music, and like nothing is more synonymous to outlaw country
Yeah.
music than
that
cigarettes and Jack Daniels.
All right.
And I'm
I
such a
guess I understand
I
that.
anytime I hear country music, I can't go without hearing whiskey.
I listen to it every
Whiskey
now and
in
again.
particular.
is anyone here a country music fan at all?
I mean, not particularly. I guess Eddie
I
is.
can't. Some of you are cutting off, so I can hear. Yeah, I can't hear Eddie that well. I can already tell me and Joey are friends. I don't got to ask
Can you hear
him. I
me?
can already tell me and this guy get along. But I can hear Jesse, and I guess the Mr. RPD champion. He also has really good connection, but I just don't acknowledge his championship. With I think it's illegitimate. It's like you made the belt to put yourself over,
No,
and
he
then
destroyed the belt to
Nah,
put
nah.
himself
It's
over.
injustice that I haven't won it
3
yet.
earned
I made
victories.
that belt. He
but if you
destroyed
guys you made that
it.
Oh no, bro. All the history, it's all me. It's all me behind this belt. There's no other history in the
you come to
books.
Florida, you come to Dirty Man's territory, and you defend that belt. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I shall be
All
back.
right.
I shall be back.
To
That's
keep
all.
things rolling here, because I do know you are on a time crunch. I know Joey has a very important question to ask you.
Yeah, so this question might be the most important question that you'll ever be asked in an interview. But do you, as a fan of wrestling and a wrestler, do you acknowledge Roman Reigns? Do you acknowledge him as your tribal chief? Do you acknowledge him at all?
Do I acknowledge Roman Reigns as my tribal chief? I will have to say yes, and
I mean, that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
the reason I say yes is because packed out arenas. Everything I say comes full circle. I'm the smartest man you guys know. Not only am I the dirtiest man, I'm the smartest man. Everything I say comes full circle. Nothing else matters besides selling tickets. Roman Reigns sells tickets. So yes, I acknowledge Roman Reigns as my tribal chief.
All right. I can respect it.
Can't lie.
as an addendum to that question, is
Hell
Roman
yeah.
walking out of WrestleMania 40 with the championship, or is Cody?
Um, I mean, let's really think
I
about
mean, we're
this.
talking
Roman
asses and
or
seats;
Cody?
they're about equal.
Right.
I wouldn't say. I don't know about
You're
equal. I don't know
telling me
about
that Cody
equal.
Rhodes
If we're
can't fill as many asses and seats as
Well,
Roman Reigns? Come on.
but I'm just saying. I'm just saying nobody's
No,
done
but
what
I'm
Roman
talking
Reigns has
about
done. I think he can, but I'm just like
actual, like, buy rate. They are equal, so there's no reason that
I think
Roman
so.
has
But
to carry that anymore. So Devin, do you think he's going to carry that title through Mania?
I could say I hope so.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
well, I mean, because you said they're equal, so
Thank you.
either way, if they go with it,
Thank
then
you.
it's kind of like say, the company
Actually, I
will
retract
thrive
that
either way.
statement. I retract the statement I just said. As I just mentioned to you all, I was raised in Indianapolis, but all my family is from Tampa. Actually, I was raised in a smaller town than Indianapolis, but that's the nearest town. All my family's from Tampa, right? And
Try that in a
used to
small town.
my father used to go watch Dusty. So I could say that I'm almost torn on it, but since my own dad, Papa Dirty, used to go watch Dusty's dad, I would say that let's see Cody. Let's see Cody walk out with it.
Honestly, he should have won it last
Because
year.
what that does too is that leaves me
No.
what that does too is that leaves me the opportunity to challenge for the belt, right? Cody's a baby face, I'm a heel, so
There you
that
go.
leaves me the opportunity to sneak into the
There we go.
it's a better business decision.
All right, all right.
I was just going to ask, how would you
Eddie, your
describe
last
your
question.
journey into the wrestling world? You kind of talked about it a little bit from being a collegiate wrestler to transitioning into pro wrestling.
So I was a college wrestler, that is true, and then I did make the jump over. And all I can say is that on this journey, this is me, quote unquote, out of character a little bit. Man, I love this. This stuff is great. It's like the wildest ride ever, up and down. There's highs and there's lows, like anything else. And the people you meet, I've met some of the coolest, most unique people. That if we were not in professional wrestling, that I don't know if they would stop and talk to me. I don't know if I'd stop and talk to them. And it's not a personal thing. What it is that so many different walks of life come together under this umbrella that is professional wrestling. It truly feels like a
Absolutely.
celebration of people,
It's a petri dish, is
and
what it is.
it's so
No
great
Yeah,
other
to be a part
sport
of
is
it.
like it. It's a variety show.
Absolutely.
you could see anything in pro wrestling.
That's what originally attracted me to it. I was like, this is crazy. Like I was there's guys who are going to tell you that they were attracted to like or what really brought them into it was like the fact that they were into the technical wrestling or the fact that it was the promos or the fact that it was the stories. Everybody has their own way of how they got into it, but when it comes to me, the dirtiest man professional wrestling, Dirty Devin Diaz, when it comes to me, I always thought this is awesome because you don't know what's going to happen next. Everything's crazy and you don't know. One segment you got Hornswoggle being thrown around a steel cage. Then the
Yes.
next segment you have a legitimate wrestling match. Like when I was a kid,
Like,
that's what really like made me want to watch it.
yeah, I mean, pro wrestling is crazy because, I mean, as you mentioned, at one moment you have someone who we are literally being told is a dead guy fighting his brother who he almost killed. Then in the next segment, directly after that, you have a competitive, like, collegiate or wrestling match. Then after that, you have these, two luchadors flying at each other. It's a variety show, and it goes back to pro wrestling's roots in, the 1800s, uh, shows, God, fair shows, as you said.
Yeah, the fairs and carnivals.
Yeah, the carnivals. That's the word I was looking for.
So I'm somebody who loves hearing about the carnival days, and I love hearing about the like history of professional wrestling because oh wait, one second, pardon. I love hearing about the like the history and the carnival and how the business then from the carnival broke into the territories, then broke into small TV to big TV. That's something that I think is so cool. And when I think of like the carnival roots, I do my best when I go out there to not like betray those roots.
Absolutely.
Like there's some people who they happen to acknowledge different roots. I acknowledge all roots, but when I mean the one that really draws me in, I think like, oh man, the carnival, that's awesome. I remember when I grew up in small town Indiana and the fair was in town, bro. That was the hottest selling ticket because we ain't had nothing else to do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I'm from Wisconsin,
was-
so I get it.
Yeah, right. You know when that county fair comes along, you're like, everybody's got to go because we don't got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean, we literally have Corn Fest, we have Butterfest, like that's how boring our lives are. That we name our festivals after the food we make.
There's beauty in that, bro. Like I miss the Midwest so much. Like although like Florida, the Tampa Bay area, the area in which I'm like living in now, and which I wrestle in now, I am a fan of. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like it, but man, the Midwest is it's awesome. It's a strange part of the U.S. It really is.
I will say
excuse me.
I will say going down there, we really enjoyed that in January here when, it was raining and like, upper 20s here in Wisconsin. Going down there, it was 70 degrees and beautiful. So at least you guys got the weather on your side.
I enjoy all four seasons, but yeah, the weather does help. And what it does, it makes it easier for us to travel.
Oh, absolutely.
My dream weather is Christmas without the cold or snow.
Thank you for that, Joey. I really appreciate that.
That is disgusting.
Where could you go?
Hawaii.
Where could you go? Where could you go?
Like, I want to see Christmas lights and decorations, just not freaking freezing to death. Like, I hate winter for the passion.
All right. Well,
I understand that much.
I have one last question for you, and I sort of have a bonus question
Yes, sir.
before we get into it because we talk about you are this rookie sensation. You're a young guy. You got all the tools possible. So you're the exact sort of prospect that the big companies here in the nation are looking for. So if you had to choose one of the big three's kind of developmental places to go, whether it be New Japan Strong over in California, whether it be NXT in Florida, with WWE, or you could do ROH, which is traveling with AEW, because they kind of treat that like their developmental territory. Which of those three would you prefer to do?
It's not a matter of preference. It's a matter about who pays me the most.
I figured that was
like
coming.
I said,
Yeah, I'm digging.
That probably that AEW more than
Yeah,
likely.
I mean, Tony
I
Khan's
think.
got a pretty big pocketbook, and he's not afraid of sharing it.
I like I explained earlier. I am such a lover of professional wrestling, so I can't say that there's one place I'd rather go than another. I know that I want to leave this game being the very best. So, really, if I had it my way, I'd work everywhere. You know what I mean? Spend some time here, spend some time there,
Well, then
spend some time over
AEW
here,
would
just so
definitely
that
be your
everyone
goal,
knows that when I.
Because you're a professional wrestler, could you imagine just like hopping the barricade, grabbing the Money in the Bank briefcase, man, like, give me a title shot?
If I won,
and I have the light wrestling license to do it.
if I won the Money in the Bank, I'm pretty sure that it would be one of those situations where you would watch people like. Now, given we're jerking back the curtain a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it'd be one of those situations where you watch a heel, quote unquote, turn to a babyface. Because my story is relatable, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody has
every
a
good
reason
heel
why they
needs
want
to
to
be
make
relatable
money.
somehow.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Just not redeemable. Relatable, but not redeemable.
Like it's one thing to see someone. It's one thing to see someone's like fall from grace and like understand why they're a dick, but then it's another to like have them, like you said, be redeemable. Like you don't have to be redeemable to be relatable.
Absolutely not. Each and every one of you have a side of you where it's like, I want this, so I'm going to go get it. I mean, especially Joey. I could tell Joey's got that in him. So
I got that dog in me.
Each of you got some. Each of you have, we all have a dark side, and I think that's what makes people claim to heels too. Is because it's like for instance, like you look at Piper. Piper
Ultimate heel.
bashes the coconut, right? And, he grabs the coconut, hits it over his head. How many of you have been dealing with somebody where you're just like, man, I would like to bash this over? Given you don't,
Coconut over there.
Who
Wouldn't?
who wouldn't want to stun? Who wouldn't want to stun? Who wouldn't want to stun their boss?
right?
But
Even though he
that
was a
was
babyface,
different.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
he
what
was
made him so
babyface.
cool.
But Joey, the only dog you have in you is the Chinese that you
No,
had for
see,
lunch.
this losing streak that I'm on has made me appreciate losing so much that if I won the Money in the Bank, I'd be like, can I please just run the clock out and not cash it in, just so I can be the first one to say I like totally wasted it. Like, I gotta make history somehow, and it's never happened. So I would
But
definitely
we all
up
have
for
the right
that.
to dream, brother.
All right. Well, last question.
They all look back and go, dude, that guy didn't even do crap with that. He just
We've
held
kept you
on to
longer
it,
than we should
stuck his
have.
lunch in it. What
But
the
one
hell?
last question is, you've worked with some big companies. You've worked with TNA, you've worked with NWA. You mentioned, all the independents that you've worked with down in the Florida circuit. So, can you tell us what it's like to work with those big boys? And can you give any advice on how to get booked with those bigger promotions?
So, first question is, how is it working with them? Well, you see the best of the best. You see what the business deems the best of the best. And so that's something I always pay attention to. I pay attention how they walk into the building, pay attention to how they leave the building, I pay attention to how they prepare for their matches, I pay attention to how they interact with each other, my apologies. Because if you want to be the best, then you have to mirror that. So that's probably what when I'm there as a younger wrestler, that's the closest thing I pay attention to. And then if I can give you any advice, I would say grow out a sick mullet, um, become become
Hell yeah.
6'3", have great facial hair, and do your best to look like the dirtiest man in professional wrestling.
There you go. There you go.
Dude, when I lived in Indiana, me and my friend were probably like in our 20s, and his brothers, like high school friends, one of his friends had this sweet ass mullet, dude. And he was a kid, and he was like on the wrestling team in high school. So, like, dude, he just had this
Well, I was
kick ass
making
mullet. I'm like, dude, you don't see
around where
that
I'm
no more.
at.
Like, I was like, what you have is like rare.
The mullet's making a
Yeah,
bit
but
of
it's
a
rare.
resurgence
Like,
around here.
Joe or Eddie, you need to grow out a
do
mullet.
what?
All right.
I just appreciate it. There's something about a mullet that screams, freedom. That's why I rock one. There's something about
It
it.
screams America.
Vince Russo idea, but every wrestler that has a mullet at WrestleMania in the Mullet Mania Battle Royal, and the winner is the
If
top
I'm not
mullet.
booked, if I'm not booked in that, then there's going to be an issue. I will be damned if I don't have the best mullet in professional wrestling. I'll be damned if I don't have the best mullet in the nation. If you guys know a better mullet, you know what? This is my time to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Jesse, do you know anybody with a better mullet?
I'm gonna say you're a tough you're a tough customer when it comes to that because you have somebody in NWA. I'm trying to remember his name. He's current national champion. God damn it, what's his name? God, this is gonna piss me off. Ask somebody else. Come back to me.
Fun fact, kangaroos can't hop backwards.
Thanks for letting me know
Well,
that. Joey with the quick facts. Mr. RPD champion that you've never defended or you didn't have to pin anybody to win. Have you ever seen a better mullet?
Someday. I cannot say I have. I've met very few with mullets, and none connect as much
your
as
mullet's
Dirty
the every
Devin's
mullet I've seen pretty
mullets.
much.
I will say that.
Your mullet's probably
Ty kind
at
of
least
looks like
2 levels
Angelo.
above.
Thrill
What was that?
Billy.
Ty kind.
Thrill Billy Silas Mason.
All right. Well, hey, I'm actually a big fan of the Thrillbillies. I'm actually a very big fan of his work. He's somebody who I really, really enjoy watching. There's multiple talents who I, as a wrestler, go and watch. And I don't mean that I steal anything from them. I'm not that kind of guy, but I mean I go and watch them because I find them entertaining.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't get to
He's
watch as
definitely one of them.
much NWA content as I would like to, but he's one of those people in NWA that I do try to keep up with because I find him very entertaining. He just sometimes I have people's.
He's got one better than
I don't
Dirty.
know if they're better though. I'd have to see them like side by side, like in maybe a mullet off or something.
A mullet.
Mullet off. Mullet
We're gonna book the
mania.
mullet off. There we go.
There you go.
Who's got a better mullet?
But yeah,
That's awesome.
sometimes I forget my own kids'
That's awesome.
names, so it's nothing against Thrillbilly. I got a fucking lizard brain or something.
Like I said earlier, when you're working for those companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best of the best. I mean, there's a reason why they get paid to do it, right? Those are the best of the. Not on the independents, we get paid. Don't get me wrong, but when you're getting paid to do it, right? You're the best of the best, and so. I mean, that's the company you guys should watch. You guys should be watching TNA. You guys should be watching AEW, New Japan, WWE, and then you guys should be watching us on the independents because there's a lot of us, me specifically, this is about me getting myself over, me specifically, who are good enough to be on television. I'll go out on a limb and say it right now that I am good enough to be on television. So not only do you guys watch all those companies, because like I said, they're the best of the best, but there's some diamonds in the rough, I would say, or diamonds in the dirt is what I
Exactly.
I'm definitely one of them.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Well, it's like
you watch the indie guys to see who's coming next. Because you think about, even just recently, you think about these people who came from the kind of independent scene and now they're on the world stage. Your Austin Theories of the world, your Carmelo Hayes's of the world, like young guys who just came out of the independents now a couple of years ago, and now they're on the absolute top that they could be.
I heard something that said for every one wrestler, there's 10 great other wrestlers that don't get the opportunity. So like for every one Hulk Hogan, there's like
There's
10
nine other
there's like
Terry
9 other
Bollea.
wrestlers that are just as good as him, but you're not hearing about them. No, like there's 9 other great wrestlers that didn't get picked to be Hulk Hogan. But I heard for like every wrestler, for every big wrestler, there's 10 good ones you don't know about, and the Indies is where I learned a lot of them from, especially TSW. I love. I mean, I met Eddie Wade, my man Eddie Wade, through that. I'm a wrestling manager because of that. Like, come on now.
Come on now. I mean, that might be a true statement. Like I said, that could be true. That for one superstar, there's 10 you don't know about. All I know is that, like, I appreciate you gentlemen for giving me this time
Thank you.
to speak, kind of front of the curtain and then kind of, character mixed with just getting to know me as a person, because that's not something I get to do often. And so I don't want to say that I'm one of those 9 because I think that I am good enough. So I don't even box myself in. It's just a matter of time. And I mean that as humbly, out of character. I mean this as humbly as possible. God's will be done. I will be on TV.
Oh yeah, no, we see that too.
But we had to get Dirty Diaz on here.
Yeah.
We had to get Dirty Diaz on here and get some of that stank. You know what I'm saying?
Especially, I'm a person of the mind where if you do not personally believe that you could be on TV, you don't belong in professional wrestling. I think Dusty said it best when he was talking to DDP. If you don't think you can be world champion, then why are you in the business? So, I mean, it's good that you have that drive.
Yeah, but look at like Maxine Dupree right now, getting like booed out of the building and stuff, and like she's out there trying her
She's
hardest.
making it
She was
work,
just
and
thrown
she's on
into all
TV.
this.
I guarantee you, she has a nicer car than every other person who's in the crowd booing her. I guarantee you, she wakes up and she loves her life compared to those idiots that are sitting there booing her.
I guarantee.
So, I mean, who's really winning? Who's getting over on who there?
As they say, laugh all the way to the bank.
Exactly.
Dominic Mysterio is the only one I know who can get booed and like make a decent penny out of it.
That man got booed at his own wedding, like just a week ago.
That's like,
like that man has nuclear heat.
One day he'll go into one day he'll go into the Hall of Fame, like in 2050 or something, and he'll still get booed.
All right.
I mean, that could be a situation where that's true. I mean, that could be a situation
Very
where
well could.
he ends up being that kind of people that.
Remember Kurt Angle? Kurt Angle, he took the whole "you suck" thing and embraced it. Like now it means more to him now than it ever did.
Right.
And I'm friends with Kurt Angle. He's cool. Now I wanted to get him on here, but he's a little pricey.
Joey will never shut up about the fact that
No, I remember.
Kurt Angle follows him on Twitter.
No, like me and him, we checked up on each other and talked and stuff. And
Allegedly.
I remember
We've
I told
never
him when I
seen
first met him
proof
on
of
air.
this.
I told him I told him, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna take screenshots and post our conversations out there for 15 seconds of fame. I was like, just the fact that you're willing to talk to me and stuff like that. And he's like, well, I appreciate that. And we've talked about Chris Benoit and stuff like that. But no, we check up on each other every holiday season and stuff and like that. He's pretty cool. Like I texted him one time, I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Chilling. What about you?" I'm like,
Get out of here.
Merry Christmas." And he's like, I told him Merry Christmas and sent him a picture of my dog. He's like, "That's
All
cute."
right. Well, enough of Joey's bullshit. We've kept you long enough, sir. Thank you for going over with us. Do you have any plugs you want to get out there? Upcoming dates, places that people can check you out in the near future. Your socials, whatever you want people, wherever you want people to find you. Now's your time.
Ellie, move.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Facebook is usually where most business happens on the independents. Devin Diaz, from which you guys found me. Then I'm Dirty Devin Diaz on Instagram, and then I'm Dirty Devin Diaz on Twitter. When it comes to upcoming dates, actually on the 16th, I'm at this show called The Devoted Showdown. I'm wrestling Bud Heavy. He used to be on MLW, and I'm excited for that one. And then I have plenty of dates with Coastal Championship Wrestling. The next time I think May 11th, we're going to be back in Tampa. I'm a kind of a guy where I go week by week, so I could just rattle off all the dates, but I'm just like a spur of the moment kind of guy, so I can't tell you that every upcoming date I even know is coming. I just go out there and do it. But actually, just for the sake, let's do this. Just so I can get on my phone real quick, and we'll go ahead and rattle off these dates. Which seems unprofessional. I promise I am professional.
No,
I'm just
fine.
a guy who just lives in the moment.
You say it's unprofessional. Joey's sitting here with his dog. I'm sitting here with my baby. Like, we're the most unprofessional podcast you can
Hey,
ever
this is
see.
my baby too. Dude, this is my baby
That's your
too.
baby too.
So I know April 27th. April 27th, I'm in Pride of Wrestling. That's a good local promotion that works here at Pride of Wrestling. I don't know my opponent yet, and really I don't care because I'm going to win.
Absolutely.
Then I know May 4th, I'm at this show where there's going to be a lot of guys who made a name for themselves on the independents. One gentleman's actually laying his boots in the center of the ring for the last time. A gentleman by the name Bruce Santee.
Really?
He was a Florida legend, I would say. I mean, he's a guy that it's very cool to be on the show with him. If you live in Florida, you understand the importance of that. I'll be there May 4th, and then I know May 10th that I will be May 10th or May 11th. May 11th, I will be in Tampa, like I said, and then I know June 14th that I will be at a company called Thunder Championship Wrestling. So that right there pretty much rattles off most of the promotions I work for here in Florida. Thunder Championship Wrestling got 2 dates coming up for them. CCW got multiple dates coming up for them. Pride of Wrestling got 1 date coming up for them. And then, as I said, this is kind of a spot show that's coming up right now, the Devoted Showdown. It's at a tattoo parlor, actually, funny enough.
Really?
They're doing it to celebrate. Yeah, they're doing it to celebrate their 11th year of existence. So, that's a pretty cool deal, too, because we all know how hard it is to make your own business, right?
Oh,
And I get a chance to wrestle a guy who used to be on MLW, so that's really cool. I would say, man, that if you guys ever get the opportunity, all the promotions I just named right now, this is me kind of out of character. We have a lot of talent. I just happen to be better than all of them. Florida is definitely a wrestling hub. So if you can come to a Pride of Wrestling show, if you can come to a Coastal Championship Wrestling show, if you can come to a Thunder Championship Wrestling show, and if you can come to any random spot show we have, I guess, because no matter what, we're just so full of talent here in the state that you guys should definitely come and just feel free to hit me up. You know what I mean? And I'll just be able to let you guys know where I'm at, let you guys know the next time you're in Florida. And I just appreciate you guys so much for this
Well,
opportunity.
absolutely. Thank you.
You share all that all the you share info and stuff with Jesse here, and he'll he'll share it on the podcast.
Yeah,
People will
I
see
mean,
it. So you just send him whatever info, and he's the
yeah,
guy
I
to go
mean,
to
we'll
for it.
definitely.
Absolutely. I share everything. So you guys feel free. Go. I'm sorry,
Oh
Jesse.
no,
Go
you're
ahead.
fine. I was just gonna say, if you wanted to, write down those dates, just send them to me. I'll include them in the description of this, so when the recorded video comes out, because this will come out a couple days from now, after I'm done processing and such. But we'll put that in there. We'll put in your socials, of course, where people can find you, and we'll see if we can get some work done. But thank you so much, sir,
Dude,
for
at
for coming on.
300,
We really
at
appreciate you. Joey, did you have one last thing to say?
at at 331 followers as of right now, we do not mind sharing your content out there and getting it
I
over with
wouldn't care if
more
we
Hey, I
had
people.
really
three
appreciate that, man.
300,000.
Every little bit.
Like,
This man's a
Right.
draw. He's a draw, though. He's gonna bring
Like I
people
said,
to
with
us.
Hey, this is our
right?
14th month, and we got almost
Wrestling, butts
400
and
people.
seats
So
is
we've
the
been
goal.
busting our
Everything I
butts.
do is to put butts in seats. So what can I
absolutely.
say? And you guys helping me do that, I really appreciate it. I gotta run because,
You
as you
got
know, you don't
training.
become a good
Amen. Good
professional
luck.
wrestler sitting on your butt. So I gotta head to my practice. You tell me have a good
All
one.
right. Well, you guys have a good
Thank
one
you guys so much.
too. Thank
Take
you.
care, buddy.
You as
Yes,
well.
sir. Hey, one more time.
Thanks for coming
One more
on.
time before I leave, huh? Go
All
ahead and shake the molar for.
right. Well, from the three of us at the
There
Ring
we go.